Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today is Angie Simmons and Dr. Bigot. How are you girls?
Fantastic, thank you very much.
Awesome. So our topic today is, how many times would you be willing to fail? Powerful lesson to learn that failure can teach us. Failure can teach us strength, our weaknesses. Failure can teach us so many things, so many different things in life. But when we fail, how we respond is how we are able to move forward with life. But sometimes when people do something, they fail, they don't want to do it anymore. And sometimes when like, let's say people get married, I love relationships. People get married, and when relationship doesn't work out, they blame themselves and they don't want to try it again. And some people, when they start a business doesn't work out, they don't want to try it again because they don't want to be ashamed. But is it really, are we being ashamed, or we are learning something from these failures? So we're going to be talking about it. Dr. Bigot, how do you relate to the topic? What were your thoughts when you saw this topic?
It's a wonderful topic, Nimsa, and for everyone, thank you for sharing your time with us here. Hello from Los Angeles area. It's early morning here. I know in London it's in the afternoon. And regardless where you are in the world, last I know, nobody likes failure. Just not having and knowing people that says, oh yeah, this is so cool that I fail. It's just like, failure. The word itself is so much feelings, so to say. Being a grief transformation coach, I'm very much ask people to be in tune with their feelings. So failure for many people is just such a scary word, and at the same time, I would say at the base, and it's very understandable because of what we attributes, what the society attributes to failure. This is the shames, this and this and this. And at the same time, I invite you to just say, is it failure or is it feedback? Sometimes it's really feel like failure, though. Sometimes it just feel yucky, even though it's feedback. But it's at the end of the day, it's up to us. At the end of the day, that, like Dr. Viktor Frankl says, at the last final human freedom is the ability to choose regardless of circumstance. And so, are we choosing it to be a failure or choosing it to be a feedback? Sometimes, and for many people, they might say, yeah, well, that's easy for you to say. And sometimes it seems that way, but it is really the bottom line, the fundamental of things is, and if you can choose it as a feedback, then naturally you'll be able to tolerate it more. We tolerate feedback. Just think about it. Can I give you a feedback? Sure. Can I give you a failure? Not so much. So if you can choose it as a feedback, then you might be able to tolerate it a bit more, a lot. What about you, Angie? What's your thought?
Right, so the fear, I never used to try anything years ago. To me, the shame of failing was very scary. I didn't want to have that label of you're a failure on me. Like you said, the society, what they label, the labels that are put on things. I didn't want to let people down. So, the shame of letting people down. So there was a lot of, and also that feeling of pain when you actually don't achieve what you want. It can be quite traumatizing sometimes. I know I felt it in the past when I fell flat on my face, when I've tried something and I thought, not doing that again, that hurts way too much. But what I've learned over the years is, even if, you don't succeed the first time, that doesn't mean that you're not going to succeed the second time. What I've learned from the failures is the lessons that I've learned, you know, that's got me to where I am today. Small lessons that I can look at and say, actually, how can I tweak that? How can I change that? Rather than, that don't work. You know, maybe it's me that doesn't work, or maybe it's the business that didn't work, or the relationship that didn't work, that they weren't compatible with who I am and my values. And so in that sense, you're learning massive lessons to help you grow and become the person that you want by keep trying. We don't get anywhere if we don't keep trying. If we give up at the first hurdle, then you're not going to get anywhere. So that's my thing on it. I felt that many times. I'm in love with it now because I know I'm moving forward every time I fall.
Actually agree with you, Angie, and Dr. Bigge. What Dr. Bigge said, Angie, when you say you've never tried anything, and I know that there are people who are watching, our audience that are watching, that have never tried anything. They fear that if they tried and things don't go according to plan, and they're going to be judged by others. Some people fear families. When they make decisions, they're like, I don't want to do this, because if things don't work out, people will be like, we told you so, we told you so. Me, actually, I'm the opposite. I try anything. Honestly, I try anything. I don't have a fear within me. Since when I was in Africa, I always wanted to succeed in life. I always wanted to try things. But I think when we get older, that's when we start second guessing ourselves, like being scared of people judging us. And for me, I am somebody that goes quiet. If you see me going quiet, it means I'm up to something. Means I'm researching something and I am doing something. And when you see me talking, it means I've done some research and things have come to light. But I'm not afraid. I used to be, I try everything, things like if I want to succeed, I try things, but I used to be afraid. There is but in that. You cannot be excellent in everything. There was but where I will worry about what people will think. Okay, I'm trying this, but then inside in my heart, I'll be like, what if things don't work out? And what if things don't work out? People are going to judge me. But as I go into personal development, I realize actually whatever decision that I make, I shouldn't worry about what people think, because when I fail, there's a lesson from that failure. It's not about success. And if you ask me, when I build my business and where I failed, I can tell you step by step what not to do when you're building a website. I can tell you step by step what not to put on the website. I can tell you step by step when you're branding on social media, what not to do, because I've done some research. I set up the business, my social media wasn't working, and I had to do some research in order for me to be where I want to be with the clients. I can tell you step by step what not to do with the clients. It's not about you. And I used to make things about me. This is what I'm passionate about. So when I'm talking about the clients, they should listen. But I didn't know that actually it has nothing to do with me. And that one I can tell you that even though I'm not afraid within to take action, but there was still a fear of being judged, a fear of why would Ngozi talk show speakers think if I was to do this? Now I'm just like, they'll be all right. And if they don't believe in me, I'm like, I can't help it. So that's my mindset now, but it has never been like that. I don't know, Dr. Bigge or Angel, whoever wants to take over, wants to comment. we have all these weaknesses within us, even though we have some positivity, but there's something else, that positivity as well, negativity as well. So that's me.
It's normal. I would say it's normal for us to be afraid of start something new. And it's normal for us, particularly if we perceive failure as so-called failure. And even if you perceive failure as failure, so many people in personal development says, okay, we learn to say it's not failure, it's feedback. But sometimes it just feels like failure, right? So sometimes it just feels like failure. And I remember the word of my very wise indeed former husband. He's a very successful guy, and this was my background is in oncology. I'm a board certified oncologist, veterinary oncologist, and so to do that, you have to take so many exams. It's unreal. It's like 3 days of non-stop exam, years after years. And one of these exam, I actually failed the exam. And it
Dr. Bickett, sorry to interrupt you. Arena says hello. I know we can't see the comment because we are on Zoom. She says hello.
Hi, Reina. Thank you so much for joining us. So one of this year, I took exam and failed it by literally 1 point. And that was talking about like what have you. And I remember his what he says. He at least back in the day, I don't know now, but neither of us was in personal development, whatever. I never hear the word personal development back then. And he still says, well, you know, it's like, that's okay. You can fail, but not get defeated. You can fail, but do not allow yourself to get defeated. And anything that stops you means you allow yourself to get defeated. And I say, and I said, wow, that message come from somebody who grew up in the ghetto. Here's in the United States, there are slums area that's called the ghettos, who grew up in the ghetto and with his very own 2 hands managed to get himself a few times he trips and fall, a few times he make a mistake, finance and this and that. But at the end of the day, he grew up in the ghetto with his own hands, managed to get himself to be in a high executive positions by the time he was mid-30s. You can fail, but don't get defeated. And I would say, any times we want to fear that there is failure, it's normal to have fear. To have fear is normal. I mean, imagine if you have no fears, you will be walking off a tall building or something. You will be buying things that you have no means to buy, and walking out the street and things like that. And so it's normal to have fear. The fear is there to protect us, but at the same time, how are we going to have fear, or are we going to allow fear to have us? When you have fear, then you might be mindful, then you might say, okay, well, this could happen and that could happen, but as long as you have fear, instead of allowing fear to have you, then you say, this could happen, that could happen. Okay, so what can I do such that this doesn't happen? You drive a long distance, for instance, and you fear you might run into an area with no gas station here. Well, then you might say, okay, well, then you know what? I want to make sure that I filled up with gas before here and with it there, such that I don't get in trouble. That's good. It's protective. Now, you can have fear. On the other hand, if you have fear have you, then you said, I'm going to be too terrified and so forth, and I'm not going to get out of the house, or I'm not going to go on the drive, then that's a completely different story. So fear can be not. Fear is normal. It's a human reaction. That's one of the basic human feelings. And at the same time, even if you see failure as failure, and you fear that, then know that you can have fear without fear having you.
I love that. It's okay to have fear, but don't let fear have you. I love that. I've actually wrote that down. Thank you very much, Dr. Brigitte. And me personally, yeah, you know, similar sort of thing, to be honest. Fear is a normal reaction. It's normal for humans, you know, for us as humans to have the fear. It's there to protect you, to keep you safe. But unfortunately, that fear can actually keep you in your comfort zone, so you don't grow and move forward. And I've done that quite a few times in my past when I've been worried about something. Instead of saying, well, you know, don't quit, just keep going, you know. But I think a lot of us sometimes can allow that fear to get too big and then we quit. But if we don't quit, we're bound to win eventually. But it's just, I think it's comes down to, you know, that why people want to learn something. Because if you know, or do what you want to do, that to face that fear, what is it you're wanting to achieve by facing that fear? And I think when we connect to that, that's when we can keep going and keep going. And it doesn't matter how many times we fail, we'll just keep going. Same with myself, with my original first business. I'm making loads of mistakes, but did I make mistakes or did I learn? So I don't see them as, you know, mistakes or failures or anything. I just went, yeah, don't do that again. And, you know, thankfully now, after it's 10 years now, been self-employed 10 years. And that's something I never believed for 1 minute. When I first started my first business, which is dog grooming, I just saw that as credit card money. I didn't believe for 1 minute that I could be a business owner. I hadn't got a plan. I got fed up one day of my boss basically being so demanding and telling me that, you know, the ways that things were. But the more I did, the more she complained and more she asked of me. So then the more things that I was doing, then I was making mistakes. And then she was complaining and asked me to do even more. And I'm like, this does not work out. And it was just what it was. I didn't fail at that job. We just wasn't aligned. I didn't want to work for somebody like that. My values are completely different. I don't believe in treating somebody as if they're a slave and, you know, talking down to them. So, but for me at that particular point, it was like, you know, somebody actually did turn around to me and say, oh, so you failed at the manager's job then? And I went, okay, so I told her I was sacking her. Who failed who? I turned around and said, no, that I've had enough. And I jumped into the big wild world of becoming self-employed with no plan, no nothing. It was either sink or swim, and boy, did I have to swim fast. But I learned loads of lessons from that, loads of lessons. And when I first started, I'd buy this and, oh, I'll buy this nice shiny dryer and this nice shiny thing. And did I need them? No. But I learned from those things, you know, like buying cheap things that I needed for my business. And instead of investing that money because I didn't think I was worth that money, I'd actually buy cheap stuff and then it'd last half the time. So I learned from that scenario. Didn't fail when something breaks down on you at the last minute. Don't buy that again. If that makes sense. So yeah, I think it's a massive when people actually connect to why they want to achieve something, and that will take them through these, I kind of like to call them hurdles. You know, sometimes you jump over a hurdle and it's all great. Sometimes not so great when you land on your face. But if you get back up, there's Les Brown says, if you can look up, you can get up.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. If you can look up, you can get up. I actually agree with you, Angie, that sometimes you have to look at your values, even if you are scared, even if you fear. And also, Dr. Bigot, you said when you fall, don't allow yourself to be defeated. I think that's when people go wrong, when they fall, they allow themselves to be defeated. And Prince, I've replied to your message regarding the topic, and thank you so much for your support. And so you have to, when you fall, you have to you have to pick yourself up, because at the end of the day, for you to actually create that destiny, and it's like there are some people like Angie, you work for people, no matter how much, no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. You will never be appreciated. For me, when people are doing the work for me, I have to be grateful that that person actually, they're there to help me. And also, I have to think about God. What would God think if I'm saying, God, help me, and you are the way, you are the truth, and I'm treating his children really bad? So those are the things that I put into consideration. If you do the work as you are meant to, I'm good to go. I stay away from you, and I just let you get on with work, and appreciate you more and wanting you to develop, because when somebody is working for you, when they leave your company, people need to see the difference. So all for me, I want somebody to do more training, somebody to develop themselves. So you don't come not knowing anything, you leave not knowing anything. You come and you learn, you develop yourself, so you don't blame NOMSA one day. So you develop yourself. And I think that is important for our audience that are watching to understand that failure, it teaches us something. And when we fail, when we do things, and we through that failure, we can rediscover who we really are, if we really wanted to. Because when you fail, you go deep within yourself. You go deep and rediscover things about yourself. And for me, what helped me actually to change my attitude when it comes to failure and when it comes to fear as well, I bought this book, Paul McKenna. I did Paul McKenna's programs, but then I bought the book on Amazon, How to Mend Your Broken Heart. It talks about relationships. But there's a part where you read the book page, and then you have to do practicals. You don't just read the book and move on to another page, chapter. So you read the chapter, and then through that chapter, there's a challenge that you have to take. It's like a workshop. So you do the challenge. So I decided I'm just going to do the challenge properly. So I did it. And there were times where he will challenge you, fear, do this, go and do this, and see how it's going to feel. So I've learned a lot through that, where I wasn't qualified to be to apply for other jobs. So I create my CV, and I'll see job being advertised, and I just send my CV through. And when somebody comes back to me and say, NOMSA, thank you very much for applying for this job. Unfortunately, there were people that were qualified this time, try again. And that gave me joy. And it's not the reply that gave me joy. It's the actually action, me being the one that is taking action, and me being the one that is actually writing my CV, writing my cover letter. I did so many things, and I've learned, like when the music play, if I go to, let's say, to the pub, the music plays. If I really, really love that music, I get up and dance, because no one is going to dance for that music. It's me that loves it. So I get up and dance. So I've learned so many things, and I've learned to smile more and more and more. So I don't know, Dr. Bigot. So the reason why I'm sharing this story is people, they worry too much about what people think. We worry about our families. These are the families that have raised us to become the people that we are today. We worry about them. But 99% of families, they're never going to agree with what you do anyway. The reason why they're never going to agree is these people love you so much. If they cannot protect you, tell me one person who can protect you. So when you go and tell them your dreams, they'll be like, oh no, you cannot do that. But they're not saying it because they don't want you to do it, because they're protecting you. So that's why you need to know that family are there to protect you. So it is your job as well to actually go for the dreams that you want, not worrying about family. Over to you, Dr. Bigot.
I would I love what you share with your story there. There is a saying in the personal development that love the journey instead of, yes, you want to love the results. Of course, you want to enjoy the result. But many times we have these things of, oh, we need to accomplish this and we need to do that and all these things to be able to be happy, to be able to enjoy and to be able to celebrate. But what you want to be able to do is to celebrate and along along the way, so to say. I mean, imagine if your goal is a trip, a vacations or something like that. Do you find enjoyment in planning them? And like when you have this wonderful special trip coming up, you feel a joy and thrill, just and excitement just planning them. Want to go there, this is going to be how many days, this is how, and those are actually many people when they do that, they're thrilled, they're excited, they're like, okay, we're going to go to here, we're going to go with this airline, and for how many days, this is what we want to see, and so on and so forth. And you're actually taking actions toward your trip. Now, do you enjoy the trip? Yes, you enjoy the trip, but when the trip complete, usually when you do it that way, you're like, excuse me, okay, so we have fun and then the trip complete, and then we have even more fun and wonderful, beautiful memory all along, and beautiful lessons on all along. If you have a trip that you never took, so let's say you're going to go to Africa, you never been to Africa, oh, you got to learn about a couple of things about Africa and planning a trip there, and at the same time, it's just as possible actually, and it's as possible, and some people do this where they say, okay, I got to plan a trip to Africa, it's a vacations, but oh my god, I hate planning vacations. Oh my goodness, looking up airline, oh, I don't know how many days, and then make the whole planning itself miserable. And then even, and if you do that, when the trip come along, you might even say, okay, well, I'm in Africa, but I'm so exhausted, being miserable. And then you wouldn't even enjoy it as much. And so make the journey fun, which is what you said, Numsa. And even if it is at the end of the day, you're like, oh, well, whoops, we're going to Africa. It's supposed to be nice and warm and dry, and then it's rained. You still have fun the whole time. You still learn plenty of things. And so, and then if you do that, if you actually have fun along the way, and then the result doesn't come out the way you do, imagine that if you're planning that trip, you might already learn some other things about the destination, and the destination doesn't work out the way you want it to be. You might say, well, okay, it's raining now instead of sunny and dry and warm. Well, but I remember along the way about this and about that. That's not plan number one, but because I remember those, we can very quickly shift plan and still have a good time anyway. It might not be the nice, lovely, awesome blossom goal that you want, but when things doesn't work, if you actually participate in that and enjoy that and the journey to your goal, you might say, okay, well, it doesn't work, but at least I have the learning experience, like you say, Himsa, and then I can say, okay, well, based on what I learned, this doesn't work apparently. Well, what about this one that I was not planning for my initial plan? And then you'll be able to receive your feedback a lot better, or rebound from your failure a lot faster. And so I love that story, because it's a lot of time, it's and learn, appreciate and enjoy the journey, and the result is the result. Even if the result is awesome, hey, you have been enjoying it for the last whatever amount that it takes you to get there, 3 months, 6 months, 3 years. even if the result doesn't work out the way you want to be, hey, you've been learning a lot of things. You can change the directions really quickly, and then it might not fall all the way to the bottom of the ditch, so to say. Got yourself back up quickly, and then it's always fun to celebrate little accomplishments along the way. Make life a lot more pleasant and fun, and allowing us to thrive better, right? So that's my thought about it. I love that story.
I loved when you mentioned, Namsa, when you was talking about, being proud, because when we, instead of us turning around and saying that, oh God, that didn't work, oh, I've messed that up, or whatever story people tell themselves, to beat themselves up, which is natural. Instead of doing that, beating yourself up, just say, well, I'm really proud that's happened, because if they hadn't took any action, they wouldn't have been at that spot for that failure or lesson to be learnt, if that makes sense. So I did love it when you said that. And the fact that so many people are so worried about actually taking action and moving forward and wanting to achieve whatever they want out of life, because they're so worried about what somebody else is going to say. But I was listening to something this morning, and they was talking about similar sort of thing. And it made me remember, my grandma when I was younger, and all I heard were, oh, what's such and such going to say about that? And it just rattled through my head. And I thought, oh my days, I don't know how many times I heard that as a child. Oh, what would Mrs. Watson what say? Or Miss, Sir Watson what said? And I'd be like, oh my days. And I remember somebody, oh God, it was quite a few years now. And because, we've all got that worrying about what somebody else is going to say, because everybody wants to be liked and loved and accepted, and it's totally natural. And then I remember somebody saying to me, why are you bothered about such and such? And I'd be like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, if you were homeless tomorrow, would they put you up? Would they feed you? Would they give you a salary? Would they do this? Would they do? And I'm like, probably not. So why are you bothered about what they say? And, taking advice of, like, I don't know, if you're talking about money advice and you wouldn't go to some bankrupt person who's God knows how many in debt and on the street and ask them for advice on your finances. That'd just be mental. But for some reason, we do that in life. Well, if we want to achieve something, like I've got this massive, airy, scary goal. And I was, somebody close to me basically said, are you sure? And that's okay. That's normal. That's family keeping you safe, wanting to keep you close, because that's the reality there as well. A lot of people will try and talk you out of you wanting to achieve something because it's not okay for them. This person was like, oh, well, and then I said, well, I'm actually looking a little bit closer. Oh, that'd be better. That'd be better. And that's when I got the light bulb. I went, oh, right. Okay. So sometimes I've found myself not wanting to achieve something because I have been worried about what somebody else has said, and then wondering why I'm not getting those learning lessons and failures, and thinking that I'm not going forward. But then when you're realizing that we do get in our own heads about worrying about what other people say, then it's totally natural, to be honest. That's the way I see it.
We have to be grateful that we are living on earth and we have this life that has been given to us, and just do the things that we want to do, because the failure sometimes can hurt. I don't want to lie to you. Sometimes when things don't go your way, sometimes it can. I used to feel hurt, but I've learned to meditate a lot, so to connect my inner being, awakening my higher power, so that it helps me when I get disappointed. If I don't get the things that I want to get, I just sit down and just relax and know that Nomsa, know that everything is gonna work out just fine. Because what we do is like what Angie was saying about this story, and Dr. Biggett said similar things as well. The story that we tell ourselves is not necessarily that is true, that we make up in our mind, we make up these decisions, and we think that we're never going to succeed if we do this, or people are going to judge us, or people will always have something to say. And I've listened to, there was this pastor that says, he preached one day and then he said, are you someone who is afraid of being judged? Or are you someone that want people to affirm your destination, where you need to be? And you're afraid of taking action because you're scared. And he said, let me tell you something about people. People are crazy. No one agrees with anybody. And he was like, no one agrees. He was like, if I put 7 people there to discuss about something, there will be a debate. So he said, if you are debating with your mind and you are scared of taking action, can you imagine that this talent, like these dreams that you have, that you could go for, and you're debating with your mind, worried about people who never agreed with your decisions? So you might as well just go for it. It was like, as long as God agrees with you, that's what it matters, and just go for it, because it is your decision. And that's what I do sometimes in life. I don't know, there's some people that see me like, we come here, we broadcast every single day, apart from weekends. And through this broadcasting, I've learned something about myself. I've learned something about people that I work with. And I've also learned something to research things, to learn about things that I do. And I also learned to actually, like yesterday, my daughter was filming. And when she's filming, it means that you have a long all day away from home, away from the office. And I have to find some work. So I had to go to the library. And I was like, I can use Wi-Fi. So I was like, I think library is better. I can be quiet there and just do some work and things like that, close the library. Try to look for other parents that had children filming, but they'd gone. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the library while they are filming and then just do some work. So I was doing some research. I ended up doing some research. I'm busy doing some research. I actually ended up, I think I conducted like 20 or 30 companies wanting to actually collaborate with them when I'm broadcasting here, to give me some product to give away for free. So I was like, the mind, by before I'll be worried about, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough following, I'm not as big as they're going to look at my profile, they're going to think, who does she think she is? So they're not going to want to talk to me. But I was like, I'm just going to apply. I don't know how they're going to react. And I still have to go back on that, because I can actually apply to 100, up to 100. So, and put the link on my business page, the companies. So what you do is you apply and write your message, and then Facebook will then send the message to those people. I was browsing and then I saw the collaboration thing on the business page. So I was like, oh, this looks good. So I started applying. But before, I can tell you, I wouldn't be able to do it because of judging myself and because of thinking that I'm not enough. Even though I go for things, and like I said before, that I'm somebody who try for things, but there will still be fear that am I enough to actually go for this? So that's why even when we were doing this summit, the summit that we just did, I didn't worry about what people would think. And some people were good, some people were negative, and that's life. People are always going to have an opinion. So anyone who is watching Dr. Biggett, you're listening to me speaking, and listening to Dr. Biggett, and listening to Angie, know that people never agree with each other. We only agree here at Ngozi Talk Shows because of the journey. We have gone through similar journeys in life. And we know that the only way to get out of that place where we don't want to be is to agree to one another, agree with unconditional love, agree with leadership, developing each other, helping each other out, celebrating each other out. And Dr. Biggett, did you reply to the email I did actually recommend to one of the companies? I'm not sure if they emailed you, so I forgot to tell you, by the way. 3 weeks ago, I think they have emailed you. The email will come when you're reading it, it looks like junk, because that's what I did first. It came out, but I thought it was junk. I would have deleted it, like a healthy something company. So if they do contact you, I did recommend for your company, so for an award. So we have to celebrate each other. And that's why we are here today. Anyone who is watching, if you have friends, and also when you are making decisions, you have to stop talking. There are some people who loves to talk, and people will simply talk you out of your problems without you realizing, without them realizing. And for me, that's what I do. I stop talking. I do things. When you hear me talking, it means it's done. And I give, like Andrew was saying from the beginning, that we actually, we fear of taking action and we worry about what people think. For me, I just go for it. My daughter's father calls me crazy. He says, Nomsa, you're bonkers, but you get things done. But it took him a long time to actually understand that if I want to do something or trying to create goals, I've got to go for it, even for my children. It's like, you know what I do? But some people say, Nomsa, why do you get all these doing these things with the children? My children film, they do all these things. Do you know what I do? I do not interfere with kids. Like the teachers, parents, like if any parent is watching, for me, what I do, that has helped me. If I take my children to the activities, I'm handing over to their teachers. And I always say to the teachers, if you say my children, that's my child, she's great, please recommend me of the things that can help them develop, or the phone numbers or anything, and I leave them alone. I don't interfere. But you see some parents, they go and they interfere. And I think 2 weeks ago, one of my daughter was doing medal test, so she had to choose a costume. So I'm dropping her off. I'm in a rush, and I'm asking the teachers to help her. And they're like, "But you're not here. How is she going to choose a costume?" I'm like, "But I'm not going to wear the costume. She's wearing it. As long as it's covered and it looks decent and she likes it, she can choose it," because they are used to parents saying no. When a child chooses a costume, they say no. So I'm like, I'm not wearing it. It's them, it's the hair who is gonna wear it. In that way, I'm teaching something to my daughter that I'm not gonna be there as a mother. So you can fail, choose the costume. If it's not the right one, that's fine. So that's how I teach my children. I leave them there to actually soak and make up their mind. And when they make up their mind and they're learning something. And I know Dr. Biggett, before you comment, could you please tell our audience and who you are? And before I go to Dr. Biggett, guys, those who are watching at Ngozi Talk Shows, who are watching on LinkedIn, who are watching us on YouTube, if you go to our page at Ngozi Talk Shows, there's a part where at Ngozi Talk Shows, if you are really, really feeling generous and you love Ngozi Talk Shows, you can actually give us some gold in money. You can press stars and give us some gold, and that gold will help Ngozi Talk Shows we build and goes to talk shows, help us to reach more audience, reach more community, more people in our community. So if you are watching us on LinkedIn or you're watching a replay, so the goal to go is there. Even if you're watching a replay, you can be generous, you can press the gold, star gold, what you think about Nkosi talk shows. But remember that gold is money. So that means you have to put money in Nkosi talk shows. So in that part, we have to be clear because the gold is going to want your credit card. So it's just to help Nkosi talk shows build Nkosi talk shows and these coaches so they can reach more people and do more workshop. So that is our goal. So please, if you're watching, Facebook has given us the opportunity, allowed us to have this gold and make our dreams come true, guys, please. For those who love Nkosi talk shows, head over to Nkosi talk show page. And I think, guys, you need to start asking people to like the page so they can give us more gold. Dr. Bigot, tell people who you are, please, and what you do and where they can find you. You are muted.
It's good to unmute. My clients sometimes remind me that so I am a grief transformation coach. What is a grief transformation coach? So grief transformation coach is a lot of time people with grief coach, they help you recover from your broken heart. But many times there are actually times where yes, you want to recover from your broken heart, and at the same times, as Napoleon Hill says, every adversity carries in it the seed of greater benefit. So how is it that you can actually recover from your broken heart? And if you choose to also harvest the greater benefit from your adversity, because many times I say it's, alongside with this topic today, not for nothing, we can fail. But if we fail and then we stop, then yes, then we fail. But on the other hand, if things does not work out, and sometimes it's really feels like failure, and we want to honor that feelings. And at the same time, you continue on, and then at the end of the day, you create something better. Then when things doesn't work out, you didn't let it go not for nothing. It's allow you to just simply learn from it. And so, and how you can find me, of course, you can find me here on Nkosi Talk Show. I'm here most of the time on weekly basis. You can also reach me on my website, Joyful Riches Beyond Grief, and also on Facebook for Chitpani 10. And for those who want to connect with me directly, you're welcome to message me on WhatsApp, or if you are in the US or Canada, on my phone at 1-805-864-2002. Quite many ways to reach me, and it's and I would say, along with this, that sometimes we have things happen in life. We do want, like if you got a broken leg, you do want to be able to repair it promptly and smartly with the right person, and then continue on. So your experience and your unpleasant experience is not for nothing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bigot. Angie, before we comment or say any words of encouragement, please, any of our audience who are watching right now, we've never seen you, they will be wondering, who is Angie and what does she do? Could you please explain to our audience who you are? And please don't forget to tell them about gold.
Gold. I like gold. Money makes the world go round. So hi, if you've not seen me before, I'm Angie Simmons. I'm a personal development and mental wellness mentor. By turning my mental mess into my message, I help inspire, empower, and support mission-driven, I would say, women over 30. So I've been there myself. I struggled with mental health for over 15 years. I didn't have any belief. I was worried sick about failure, no belief in me achieving anything. I was working full-time as a kennel manager, dog grooming part-time, never seeing my daughter. you know, at that time, people used to say that I was angry with the world and everybody in it. And I'm like, yeah, I was one of those pit bulls running down the street and everybody was running in their direction and wondered why things kept going wrong for me. So what I've learned is simple strategy to help with personal development, but mainly emotional and mental well-being, to give people that understanding, you know, to help them change their mindset, help them get more connection with the inner and the outer world, because most people look outside for failure and they forget to actually look in the mirror. And so I help people do that, and then also help them take those daily steps forward. You know, when you want to achieve something in life, it don't just happen. You have to take small daily steps, and they compound into the results that we want. Nothing happens overnight, or without failure, or without taking those small daily steps. So I help them with my journal, with my 7-week mentoring program, and I also help with a new program, well, group that I'm just starting up, which is to help solopreneurs reduce anxiety, reduce overwhelm, and also to increase their focus and productivity, because most solopreneurs are hiding in the background because they're fearing what's going off outside. And what we need to do is actually take that action to help things move forward. So yeah, that's me. And something about the gold. Nomsa wants gold.
No, listen, Ngozi Talk Shows. Please, guys, just head over. You know what? When you're watching Ngozi Talk Shows, hand over to Ngozi Talk Shows page, like our page. And as you're watching us at the bottom of the video, comment. When you're commenting, there's actually a star there. If you press that star, gold star, it will ask you to actually help Ngozi Talk Shows, help the talk show to move forward and to reach more people. And please do, whatever you give, it will make a difference to our community. And any words of encouragement, Dr. Biggett, is 5 to 2, and I need to finish on time today.
So the words of encouragement for anyone listening here: when you do have failure, it's normal to feel defeated. It's normal to feel sad. It's normal. Your feelings when things not working out is normal. And at the same time, as we say earlier, you can have failure and not allow failure to have you. Now, if you do have failure and you don't know how to get out from the rubble, so to say, then sometimes we really want to allow people to support us, somebody who's been through the path, and therefore you're not going to repeat the same mistakes. But hang in there, you got it.
Much, Dr. Biggett. Angie, any words of encouragement, please?
I love that, Dr. Biggett, bless you. More or less a similar sort of thing, to be fair, for me. If for anybody out there that's feeling deflated, struggling, beating themselves up, your feelings are valid. Don't beat them up, but don't beat yourself up. It's about sitting there and owning those feelings, understanding those feelings, and reach out to somebody to get help. That is definitely not failure. One of the things I was taught was, if you ask for help, you're a failure. That's definitely not a failure. If you don't understand something, get the help from somebody that does understand. Don't try and do it on your own, because those feelings, as I said, they're valid. It's okay not to be okay. But what's not okay is staying there. So get that help that you need. And as I like to put my big girl's pants on and off I go.
Thank you so much, Angie. For me, that my words of encouragement will be, don't be afraid to make changes in your life. And that power of change is waiting for you to unleash it within. And if you don't unleash it and you fear of what people think, then you're not going to achieve your goals or your dreams. But know that when you make a decision and you want to fulfill those dreams, it's just you. And Nomsa does not understand your dreams. You can explain them to me, that's when I will understand them. But even if I don't understand them, it does not mean that I'm right. So all I can say is just go for what you want. Fail. I have made so many mistakes doing my business, and the things that has made me where I am today is not wanting to give up and knowing my purpose, knowing that if I give up, there's someone out there who wants to break the chains that I could have helped them, but I've given up. So that means I won't be able to reach that person. So that's why now Ngozi Talk Shows would be really, really grateful if people can just go to our page and give us that star. Facebook has given us the star for us to share with our friends so that we can reach our community, and we want to reach more. So please live with grace, everyone, and God bless. And imagine Angie and Dr. Pickett, if we didn't continue, we wouldn't have got the stars. So